All right, who's grateful? Who is grateful? Come on. I want to start this year out with some gratitude. I want to start this year out looking at him. The more I look at anything but him, the more fear rises up in me, the more anxiety rises up in me, the more shame and comparison and all that stuff begins to rise up. And the more I look to him, the more peace there is. The more gratitude there is, the more comfort there is, the more love there is. So I want to encourage us this year that we're going to look to him. Amen. Amen. We're going to do that here. I want to invite you guys into this, and I want to say real quick to every single one of us, come on, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I missed you guys last week. I missed getting to be together last week. I'm really grateful that we got to have a break and a rest period. Every year we do this Sabbath Sunday, and the Lord teaches us about rest. And so we want to make sure that we model that. And if you don't practice Sabbath rest as a weekly rhythm and habit, I want to invite you into that. In fact, I want to invite you into this year. I believe in my prayer, guys, I just feel a burden on my heart for every single person here that this year, 2025, is a year where God does new and better, different things in and through us. Are you ready for a season where God does new and greater things through each and every one of us? And I desperately want it, and I can't shake it for each person. And yet at the same time, I recognize that most people, it'll be like water in our hands. It'll be a desire that we have, and it'll disappear in a couple weeks, maybe in a couple hours. And I want to tell you that committing a year to the Lord has very little to do with getting my emotions to line up with going, yes, I really want God right now. And it has a lot more to do with choosing to follow him no matter what, even if my heart isn't leading me in that direction. Because I guarantee you this year, your heart's going to be on both sides. Your heart's going to have times where you're like, oh, Lord, I just so desperately want you. I need you, God. And you're going to have times where your heart is going, man, I'm questioning all of it. I'm unsure of him and of his goodness, and I'm unsure of these people that I've trusted in, and man, I just don't want to try it again. I want to give God this area, but I don't want to give God my whole life. This is an area I kind of like to play in. This is an area I kind of want my own freedom in. This is an area where I'm like, come on, God, I can do it my way. I can do it the way, like, it's not that bad. It's not that dangerous. And instead, I want to encourage you, if you want to see this year, 2025, be different in a new and better way in Christ, I promise you, it will pass through the gate of godly habits. You do not change the direction of your life without changing the direction of every single step. And I want to ask you this year, at the beginning of the year, set in a new habit. Whether it's Sabbath, where you take a day to rest and to focus more intently on the Lord. Whether it is, I'm gonna make sure that my morning time is his and his alone. Whatever it is, I want you to build a habit. Because otherwise, this is what it's like. It's like, I want to walk towards the Lord. I want to chase after him. And I go, okay, I'm going to face this way. And that is my heart. That's my emotions. That's where I'm at. I want that so bad. But I've been walking this way. I've been walking this way. I've been kind of doing whatever I want in terms of the activity of my life. I've been dating who I want. I've been hanging out with who I want. I've been drinking what I want. I've been smoking what I want. I've been reading what I want. I've been listening to what I want. I've been watching what I want. I've been lying to who I want to lie to. I've been building whatever idols I want to build. And I don't really want to give that up. And so I'm going to face you, God, but I'm not going to change anything. And I'm going to continue to move in whatever direction I want to move, but I'm facing you, God. I want you, God. And I'm gonna continue to do what I want to do, and I'm not gonna change anything. But pretty soon, I'm gonna find that I am stuck here in a shadow, and I'm going, where are you, God? I've been trying. I've been facing you. I've been wanting you. Have you seen? I've been going to church. Now I'm stuck over here, and it's getting harder and harder, and I feel further and further away from you because my habits are not modeling after the convictions that God has given to me. My habits, if I want to move in a direction, then I have to have every step move in that direction. And no single step is the radical, amazing, life-changing leap that gets me across to the other side of where I want to go. But every single step will get me closer towards him. Will continue. And here's the reality. If I'm taking no steps, I am moving backwards. The reality is it's kind of like I'm walking on one of those in the airport when you go to the airport and you got that walkway that'll move you, and I'm walking the wrong way on the walkway, and I'm just going to keep going. Or if I stand still slowly, I'm going to start moving backwards because my flesh does not desire the Lord. My flesh is contrary to him. My sinful nature wants to run away from him. I want to lean on me. I want to have control. I don't want to give it to him. And so if I'm not regularly building habits that point me to him, I will never see the transformation that I so desperately want. And 2025 will be just like 2024 and 2023 and 2022. And it'll be another year of, well, I wanted it, but nothing is different. Because I'm still holding on to that one thing that is my except for that thing for the Lord. I'll give you almost everything, and I'm going to keep this one. I'll give you almost every area of my life, but I like my play area here. I like what I'm doing here. It's kind of my thing. You don't understand how much it gives me butterflies when you don't understand how much it satisfies me when I'm looking at that stuff online. You don't know how much it's satisfying when I'm talking to this person and the way that he or she talks to me, and like, oh my goodness, like they make me feel so everything else, I'm mostly committed to you, except for the area that means the most to me, God. And I will find myself facing towards him and moving in the opposite direction. My prayer for Collective is that we would build habits that every day, I don't know about you guys, you're probably way holier than I am, and I need multiple times a day. I need to begin my day with him. And then a few hours later, guys, it's like lunch hour right after that. It is like Drew's in full Drew mode again. And like at the morning, I'm like, God, I'm all yours, and I've surrendered, and slowly but surely I've got a hold of my life again, and I've started to build my own control. And then when people come against me, I'm like, hey, why are you trying to kill my thing? So my attitude starts to get a little bit worse. My weight that I'm carrying of the things that I feel responsible for, I feel the weight, and I got to surrender it again. I need multiple times every day to commit myself to the Lord because I lose it. D.L. Moody was once asked, why do you always pray for the Holy Spirit to fill you? And he says, because I leak. I feel like I'm this broken pot, this broken vessel, and it's always like I'm just draining and I'm dripping, and I'm like, I need to be filled again because I feel empty again because I've drifted again. Build habits. If we can do one thing, if you hear one thing from me today, it's build your habits to chase after him. I guarantee you, this is not a Drew guarantee. This is not a collective guarantee. I cannot do much from either one of those. But I guarantee you, if you go all in with God and if you chase him this year harder than you ever have, and you build your life and your finances and your relationships and your morning and your evening and your meals and your work and your friends and your coffee shop and your neighbors, if you build that around the Lord, I guarantee you at the end of 2025, you are not going to be regretting that. You are going to be more fulfilled. You're going to be filled with more purpose. I don't know if his life is going to get easier or harder for you, but I guarantee you, you will be shouting the praises of God more than ever. And that's my prayer for us here. My prayer is for 2025. In 2024, we had the phrase steps of obedience. And steps of obedience is just every single day saying yes again and again and again. And I don't think we let that go. We have to continue. Every single day is another step of obedience, chasing after him. Be faithful in the little things. But I believe 2025, God has another word for us. It's hungry. To be hungry for him. To be hungry for his spirit. To be hungry for his work in our lives. And that's why, I don't know about you guys, over this Christmas season and Christmas break, we had kids at home, and if you had a Christmas at all like ours, and you sit down and you eat until you're pretty sure one more bite will make you explode, right? Like, I'm not just full, I'm like in pain. Anybody, right? Am I alone in that? Come on. I eat and it's so, and at that moment, you guys know what I'm saying, where in that moment, it's like, I don't feel like I'll ever eat again. Like, I can't even imagine being hungry. That is so far outside of where I'm at. I feel like I'm probably good for the next year. And then an hour later, I'm looking at that cookie plate again. Did I have that one over there? I don't know if I did. Let me see if I got room for this. I did have that. That one was good. Yeah, I'm gonna grab another one of those. And yet, then a couple hours later, I'm going, what's for dinner? All right, I'm getting hungry again. And this is there's something about hunger, having an actual position, a place of hunger, that it is so good for us. I don't know if you guys are into like the health sides of fasting and of hunger, and how it just starts to reset your system and allows for your body to like kick out toxins and use the natural, the fats that we got in us, and use that for, and it's like, oh, it's so cool how the body uses this. But I believe that is a spiritual, it's a physical thing, revelation of a spiritual reality. That hunger is a place that we need to live in. Hunger is something that we need to carry, and that's why today I want for all of us to start here and online. I want to challenge all of us to step into a fast. And we're going to fast. And a fast is a time where you cut something out of your life, and it's usually food. And for the next 14 days, I want you guys to choose some type of food fast. A hungry for more fast. Something that makes you crave something that you can't have. Something that makes you hungry. At least in a portion of the day, I recognize that there's different things that you got to make sure don't put your body in jeopardy. Those of you with diabetes, don't be like, all right, I'm going to bottom out on my sugars every day. That's what Pastor Drew said to do. No, we're not saying that. I am saying I want for us to have a moment, a time at least every single day that we go, oh, I'm hungry. And then we can translate that into God. May I carry, because if I'm honest, I want to want God like I want food, but most of the times I don't. Most of the time, I want food more than I want God. One of my favorite interviews with Billy Graham, a young pastor, sat down with him, and he was celebrating like 50 years in ministry, and he says, okay, so I got to be honest, Pastor Billy, I'm trying to figure out how I'm really consistent in my time with the Lord. I'm really consistent, but every once in a while, I forget to set my alarm, or I sleep through it, or something happens in my time in the morning. I just miss it, and then chaos hits, and sickness, and vacation, and then my rhythms are all thrown off. And sometimes, how do you get? I find when I do that, I get off track, and it's hard for me to get back on track. When you miss a day, how do you get yourself back on track, Pastor Billy? And Billy Graham said, have you ever had a day where you forget to eat? Have you ever had a day where you forget to drink? Have you ever had a day where you forgot to breathe? He says, I haven't missed a day since I was 22. I don't know how to miss a day. I don't know how to operate that way. And I think that's why when you look at spiritual heroes of our generation, so many of them fall when it comes to holding them to the candle and to the lights of longevity. Because that's every single one of us with a bigger target on the back. And no one had a bigger target on their back than Billy Graham. And yet, he carried it so well for so long because it truly, I'm blown away by his ministry and by his life and by the fact that even after, it still is like, yeah, he did it pretty stinking well. His boundaries, if anybody's got complaints about Billy Graham, his boundaries were a little too strict. I'm okay with that complaint. To have the same testimony of saying, I've never missed a day of drinking, of eating, or of breathing, and I will never miss a day of consuming my connection with the Lord and being with him. Oh, what a desire. If there is one desire that I had, it was that every single one of us would be able to come to the end of 2025 and say, I have never missed a day. I may have missed a day of eating, but I have not missed a day of being with my Lord. And I want to hunger and thirst for the Lord. And so I want us to step in, whatever it may be. Maybe you want to skip a meal and you say, that meal time, I'm going to dive into prayer. So it's not just about saying no to something, saying no to food or a food group or something like that. It's not a diet to lose weight. It is a cutting something off so I feel a weakness in myself. Oh, you know what? There is something when I get in a weak point, when I'm missing the caffeine, when I'm missing the food, when I'm missing, it's a perfect position where I go, you don't want to know what's really strong right now? My flesh. You want to know what's really strong right now? My impatience, right? I don't have the energy right now, man. And then I get to kill that thing inside of me. Now the heat has caused the dross to rise to the top, and I got to pull that away. Make it hard. Make it frustrating. Make it that thing that you say, but not that one, right? Yeah, but not coffee. But not sweets. But not breakfast. Oh, but not this, right? Make it that. That's a good sign that it probably needs to be that. Okay, I want to encourage us to hunger and to choose to say no to something so that we can step into and say yes to God. And we can step into prayer. We can step into reading His Word and spending more time. Pick up a reading plan and dive into what you're going to do, and you're going to read in His Word every single day. What time are you going to spend an extra time in prayer? It may not even be sustainable. It may be, maybe God's convicting you to tithe of your day, and you need 2.4 hours every single day of giving to Him. And you're going to journal, and you're going to pray, and you're going to read, and you're going to worship. And He says, I want 2 hours and 20 minutes of your time to be for me. Maybe it's really hard to sustain, and that's exactly the point of a fast. I want us to start hungry for more. And if you're not, I want to encourage you to pray this prayer. Is God, I don't hunger after you, but I wish I did. Would you make me hungry for you? Psalm 63 is the verse that I want to highlight, the passage I want to highlight for this. Here it says, you, God, are my God. I earnestly seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being, everything, my emotions, my body, my mind, my will, my whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water and I can't think about anything else. That's how I feel about my God. I have seen you in the sanctuary. I've experienced your presence and I've beheld your power and your glory because your love, God, it's better than life. So my lips, I'm going to glorify you. I'm going to speak it even when I don't want to. I'm going to praise you as long as I live. And in your name, I will lift up my hands. I will be fully satisfied as with the richest of foods. With singing lips, my mouth will praise you. There is a hunger that only can be satisfied with Jesus. But here's the thing. This is why the word hungry is the word for the year. Because if you know my story about church planting and about starting Collective Church, it really started in the transition, the time when I stepped out of full-time ministry and an established church and said, I'm going to go plant a church. And we had this plan. We were going to go to this training. I was going to go visit this church in Chicago and then Seattle and then DC and Miami. And I had all these different places that I wanted to go and just learn and grow and pop the bubble that I'd been living in and go, what is God calling us to and what is this going to be like? It was an amazing plan. And the week before we left our jobs at Good News Church, COVID hit. And I thought I had a great attitude about it. I thought I was like, I nailed it because I looked to God and I said, yo, God, don't you worry. You know who you got on your team? I know COVID surprises you, God. I got this. I will build my church. Don't you worry. And I thought it was this good attitude of like, I'm going to pick myself up on my bootstraps and God, nothing's going to stop us. And I know this is your call. And he made it really clear. And guys, God says, all right, I'll let you see your limits. And I saw my limits. Guys, you're looking at a guy who's got a leadership capacity of 3 weeks. I don't want to brag. It's kind of a big deal. And 3 weeks in, I'm ticked. I'm like, God, I don't even know what to do. How are we supposed to lead through this? And I'm trying to get in this like prayer workout. And pretty soon my entire body begins going numb. Every muscle in my body tenses up. I get stuck on the floor. I'm having a panic attack. I don't know. I can barely breathe. I can't speak. And I'm freaking out. And I think it might be the end. And I realized I hit this wall hard. In the next 3 weeks, God says, don't touch your computer. Don't open anything up but the Bible and your notebook, and that is what you're going to be doing right now. We're going to spend the time together. This is my church. I will build it. This is not your church, Drew. This is not your burden to carry. I never created you to carry that. The calling that God's given to your life is the exact same. I was just learning it in my weakness. And I learned, and I got this lesson of dependence on God that has been one of the greatest lessons I've learned in my adult life. And to lean on him in ways that I never would have been able to carry if it hadn't been for a panic attack leaving me paralyzed on the ground. It taught me things I never could have been taught. Pain has a way of doing that when you give that to the Lord. But then about this time last year, I just finished talking to someone and mentioning to them about this story. And there's another guy who is in church leadership and considering planting a church. And I was talking about this, and it was inspiring, and it was motivating, and it was good. And I hung up on the Zoom call, and I finished up, and God says, you don't have that anymore. And I go, what do you mean, God? I literally just told the story about how I learned about that. Don't you remember? And he revealed to me that hunger is not a thing that you catch. Desperation for God, needing him and wanting him with my whole being is not something I catch and I go, got it. It's like the chicken pox. I had it as a kid and now I'm immune and I'm fine forever. It's something that you have to carry. I have to carry this hunger at all times. And if I choose to ride on the revelation of yesterday, I'm riding on a dead thing. I'm trying to ride on something that God did, and he says, but I'm not doing yesterday today. I'm doing today. And I'm getting ready to do tomorrow. Are you with me? I want us to carry a hunger for God. I want for this to be a thing that starts with the fast at the beginning of the year, and yet it just continues to be carried. And there's nothing else that matters more to me but to be with you. My God, there is one thing I ask. There is only one thing I seek. It's nobody else. It's no other thing. It's no other chemical. It's no other solution. It's no other scrolling. It's no other goal. It's no other job. It's no other money. It's just you, God. And everything else points to that. I will work for your glory. I will serve for your glory. I will love my spouse for your glory. I will give all of me for your glory. It's all because I got nothing else. There's one thing. I'm thirsty in the desert place, and I just desperately need one thing, and that's your presence. And if I can get to that, And if I can catch that, and if I can carry that every day and say, God, this is my desperate cry, and I'm waking up this morning and I'm not feeling that desperate. Would you help me to hunger after you? Would you help me to want you? I don't want you, God, and I want to want you. Please help me. And so this is what I've got here. Up here at the altar, I've got these cards. It's prayer cards for 2025. It says, hungry for more. And this is one of the habits I want us to pick up. That as a church, we would choose to pray, God, make me hungry for you. God, would I desperately need you? Not just because, here's the reality, I'm always dependent on God. You don't always realize it, but you just drew a breath that was given by him. And your next heartbeat was allowed by him. I'm actually fully dependent on God at all times. But I'm not always desperate for him. I'm not always begging to be with him. And this is our prayer. I want to pray in 2025 that we'd be hungry for more prayer. Hungry for a deeper connection with God. And this is the prayer. Lord, know me. Lord, seek my heart, know my thoughts. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you, my God, my rock and my redeemer. It is this prayer of Psalm 42. It says, as the deer longs for streams of water, so I long for you, O God. I thirst for God, the living God. When can I go and stand before him? Oh Lord, I need you. I need this. I want to be hungry for more prayer. And if you pray this prayer, 2025 is going to be a year of spiritual depth for you. If you pray, God, know me. I want to be hungry for more prayer. God, know me. It's going to be a year of spiritual depth. You are going to find that you are deeper in your walk with the Lord, that he is a connection to your heart in the dark, hard places that no one else has permission to. He has. We're going to find that. And then second, I want for us to pray for more growth. Hungry for more growth. God, grow me. Do you want to know what Jesus says is blessed for those who hunger and thirst for righteousness? I want to become more like him. Righteousness is aligning with God's perfect plan and design. And I'm gonna align with that, and I'm gonna chase after him, and I'm actually gonna let my life reflect after it. Hungry for growth is not me going, God, I want to feel more spiritually mature. It's I want to act it. I want to live it. I want my life to look more like you. I'm gonna drop the CBD. I'm gonna drop the relationships that kind of feed me. I'm gonna drop the alcohol. I'm gonna drop my need to get that next job promotion. I'm gonna drop my need for satisfaction from my spouse. And I'm not gonna need all these things, and I can't be happy if not. I can't be happy if I don't have you. And if I have you, God, that is it. And everything else I'm going to learn to put on the altar this year. I'll kill it. Kill these things in me, God. I'm placing it on the altar, and I give it to you because I love my spouse and I want my spouse to love me, but I don't need to constantly be fed by them. I need to constantly be fed by you, God. Hungry for more growth. This prayer is, God, change me. Change me. The secret in the kingdom is not become the best version of yourself. The secret in the kingdom is to be less of you and more of him. God, change me, shift my heart, kill these things inside of me that want to rise up against you. And then our third prayer for 2025 is hungry for more fruit. Lord, use me. Lord, use me. If you pray this prayer, 2025 is going to be a year of witness. You're going to see God use you not to tell someone else's story, but to tell your story. And you're going to be a witness, and you're going to see God in ways. You're going to be a witness of what God's doing in you. You're going to be a witness to others. People are going to experience what God's done in you through you. You will see the purpose of God rise up. You will see the hope of God rise up and living and active inside of you at all times. But we must lean harder into Him. I've got to build habits that look like I'm hungry for God even when I'm not. John 15:5, Jesus says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, I will use you. You will bear so much fruit. You're going to see your life and you're going to go, holy smokes, I know why I'm alive. I know why I was created. You're not going to have any questions about it. And then he says this, apart from me, you can do nothing. I don't know, I do a lot without you, God. A lot of stuff that dies. You earn a lot of money that's going to end up getting transferred over to someone else's account. You get a lot of things that's not actually long-standing. If you want to do something that's actually going to fulfill you, that's actually going to fill you, that you're actually going to see on the other side of your tombstone, you're going to need my Spirit. You're going to need to hunger for more fruit. God, use me. So this is what I want. If anybody who says, I want to be hungry this year, and you want to grab one of these prayer cards, the back is blank. And so maybe you've got a specific prayer that you want to pray that God's putting on your heart. This is exactly it. This is what I'm telling you to do. This is what 2025 is going to be. And you need to write that on the back of the card. You can do that. But for those of us, we can all stand up. We can stand up in here. And those of you who go, I want to commit to this prayer, and I want to pray for this church, and I want to pray for me. I want to pray that we are hungrier for Him. Go ahead and come on up and grab one of these cards. Come on up, grab one of these cards. And if you want to stay up and worship, what I want to do, we're going to sing a song, and it's all about being hungry for the Lord. It's all about being desperate for Him. And so make room at the altar for other people to come on up, to grab a card, and to stay up here, and we can worship together. And I want for us to sit in a moment of worship, just like we had just at the end of singing earlier. But this moment of lingering, saying, I'm hungry, I'm desperate, I'm thirsty, I need to know you, God, and I don't want you enough. Would you help me to want you more? Would you help me to hunger for you more? Would you help me to be desperate for you more?
Hey, thanks so much for watching today's message. Our prayer is more than the words that were spoken in the message, that you would remember the things that God spoke to your heart.
Yeah, no matter what it was that God spoke to you, I know that part of your journey is other people, being in a community, because we are better together. So if you made a decision to follow Jesus today, would you click the link below and fill out the form? This is going to help us so that we can celebrate with you and equip you with some tools so that your next steps are great steps.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching. We're praying for you. We're cheering you on. We believe that the best days are ahead of you.